All right, in this short video, I'm going to walk you through some of the basics for looking at something using a microscope. So these are digital microscopes. They're really nice because they can actually hook directly from the eyepiece to your Chromebook, and you'll be able to see all of everything that you see in the microscope on your Chromebook screen, which makes it which is actually just really nice. So before we get to that point, let me show you a couple of different things. So the first thing you're always going to want to do is turn on your microscope. So the button to turn it on is right here, and you'll know it's on because you'll see the light come on. Then you'll have your slide ready. So this is a slide, and this is a cover slip. So you're going to be making your own slides when you look at yeast and when you look at algae. And so you're going to be putting the slides together. Sometimes you can have prepared slides. We're not going to do that. So for the purpose of this video, I just added a drop of water to my slide. And then all I'm going to do is use this cover slip, and I'm going to put the cover slip directly on the water and kind of tap it down and make sure there's no air bubbles. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the slide. I'm going to put it on the stage. So this black thing right here is called the stage, and you should use these clips to clip your slide in place. And there's a hole in the stage where the light comes through. So you want to make sure your cover slip with whatever you're trying to look at is directly over that hole so you can see it. So once you're at this point, you're going to be starting to focus. So there's a couple things you need to know in order to use the microscope to focus on something. So first of all, there's a couple things in the microscope that are going to magnify whatever you're looking at. That first thing is the eyepiece. So the eyepiece by itself magnifies by 10 times. The other piece of the microscope that makes things bigger or magnifies are these, which are called objectives. So you have 3 objectives, and they have different sizes. So the short one's called the low power objective, the medium is the medium power objective, and the long one is the high power objective. And they each magnify different amounts. And the number that they magnify is conveniently right on the objective, so you can always find it. So this one is going to magnify by 10 times. That's your low power. And the way you know total magnification is you actually multiply. So you multiply your eyepiece times your power on your objective. So we've got 10 times 10. So under low power, it's going to be 100 magnified. The medium power magnifies 25, so it will be 250 times, and the high power is 65, so it will be 650 times. Once you're ready to start, you always start with low power first, and you use these knobs on the side of the microscope to focus. This black knob is called your coarse knob, and you can see, like, if I move it, it's moving the slide a lot. So this is what you use to focus first, and you get it as good as you can get it. And then you use the blue knob inside, which is called your fine tune, and you fine tune it to make it perfect. And as you can see, you can hardly even see that stage moving. So I'm ready to go. And I do like to start with my stage as close to my low power objective as possible. So I'm going to move this up so it's really close. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my microscope ready. So I need to find the plug end that is kind of smaller. And that's going to go directly into my eyepiece. So you'll be able to see that. And then you're going to plug the other end just into your USB port on your Chromebook. Once you put it on the Chromebook, then what you're going to want to do is pull up your camera, and then you want to switch around your camera. So instead of like the camera looking out at you, the camera's going to flip-flop, and you're actually going to be looking at what's in your microscope. So I'm going to go ahead and get that part of this started. Okay, so now I have my microscope set up. So you're just seeing my camera right now. And I'm going to go ahead and I've put my slide under. And for the purposes of this focusing piece, I'm actually going to focus on yeast right now since this is the first time you're doing this. So you get a little idea of what it's actually going to look like. So I'll put it underneath, and I'm going to start by using that black coarse focus knob, and I'm in low power right now. So I'm going to really slowly go until I see something, and I'm going to know it when I see it. And if you're not sure, you're probably just seeing dust. So what I see here are a whole bunch of yeast cells. So every single one of these little dots here is its own yeast cell. They're moving around because they're just in water right now, so they're not actually moving on their own. They're just sort of floating around. This thing right here is an air bubble. So it's really a typical appearance to see an air bubble with this like real nice circle and a dark outline around it. So I can move my slide around. Here's a really big air bubble. And see if like there's a good place where, I like how the yeast are looking. So I'm just going to put it right here. So I'm ready to go into medium power, and I'm not going to touch anything because I already started to focus it. So I'm just going to move it right into medium power. And when I'm in medium, I can't see the yeast. I know they look like little circle things. So I know I'm not focused. So I'm going to go ahead and use my coarse knob, the black knob, again until I can get them as good as I can get them. And if I feel like I can get a little bit better, I can use my fine tune, which is the blue knob. All right, so now I can really see them. So my objective says 25. I know my eyepiece is 10. So that means my total magnification right now is 250. So each one of these little circle things is one cell of yeast. And so finally, I'm going to go into high power. So here's the thing about high power. It's going to be really close to my slide. And lots of times it looks like my objective is going to hit. The objective is actually on a little bit of a spring. So you don't have to worry. Even if it hits, it's going to spring up. So I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to click it right into high power. And it's really close to my slide, and that's okay. And then once I'm here, I have to be really careful about focusing because I'm so close to my slide that if I use my coarse knob, I'm gonna like break the slide, which is not good because it moves it too much. So the only thing I can do right now is use my fine tune and see if I can get it just a little bit better, which I can get it pretty good here. So my objective when I look at it says 65, so that means my total magnification is 650. If for some reason I couldn't get it in focus, just using my fine tune, I'd have to go back to my medium power, refocus, and then try again. So now I'm back and you can see the microscope again. I just wanted to point out how close this high power objective is to my slide. So since you couldn't see me doing this before, we're not going to see the yeast right now, but I am just going to show you that if I pop it out of this, I go back into my medium power. I can use my coarse knob, so I can use this big knob and make it really good. And then I can fine tune it with my low power. But when I go into high power, here's what I was talking about with the spring. So I can kind of push that in because it's on a spring. So it's going to be close and it's okay. In fact, it usually is touching. But because it's touching, I cannot use this coarse knob because I will break things. So you can only use the fine tune knob at this point. So now I've looked at everything I wanted to look at. So last thing I got to do is leave my microscope in common courtesy position. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in low power. And then I'm going to take my slide and my cover slip. I'm going to walk over to the sink and I'm going to use just water and soap. I'm going to wash all these off and then put them back wherever they belong. And then the last thing I want to do, or the last two things I want to do, is I want to make sure that this microscope is ready for the next person. So I'm going to use my coarse knob and I'm going to put the stage as close as I can to the objective again. I'm going to unplug anything that I've plugged in. I'm going to wrap up my cord really nice. And again, so it's nicer for the next person. So I should almost leave this nicer than what it came as. So I'm wrapping up my cord. And then I'm going to bring this cord back. And then the last thing I have to remember to do, of course, is turn it off so I don't run out of my battery. So I'm going to turn it off. And then I am good to go.